Welcome back to the Out of the Rough podcast presented by We Know Fantasy. As always, my name is Nate with We Know Fantasy, and joining me as always is my man Jake. Jake, how we doing?
We're doing good. We're doing good. I'm still recovering from sleep from staying up on Saturday night to watch, Jesper Svensson come through for me at 4 a.m. Eastern time. But yeah, no, it was a good weekend. I mean, Sunday at what's it called? The Valspar was a bit crazy. I know that Keith kind of crapped out for you. You have been just gotten burdened with some terrible luck, but I promise that some winners are coming. Your process is there, but kind of a crazy ending. Peter Malnati with a two-stroke lead. Good guy. Never really saw it coming, but back to the long shot script here on the PGA Tour, I guess.
Yeah, we got Scotty Scheffler in there for 2 weeks, and then we just went back straight back to the long shots. And I guess we'll see what happens this week. There's some good chance for some other long shots to have their turn at claiming a title this week at the Texas Children's Houston Open on the PGA Tour. We had to throw Texas and Houston in that same title. Couldn't just be one or the other. And of course, we also have the Hero Indian Open, right? Not Classic, Hero
Yep.
Indian Open over the
Yep.
DP World Tour final event before the Masters. So essentially, DP World Tour will be off for a few weeks following this week. Along the way. But before we do hop into things, I know you mentioned that the Keith Mitchell one really hurt. After Xander the week
Yeah.
before, two-stroke lead going to the weekend, threw it away. Keith Mitchell did it in the worst possible fashion. +6 on Sunday, like not even the first shot off the tee,
He
not even a
never had it.
chance, not a
Yeah.
not a chance in the world. And this is my fourth 54 hole multi-shot lead that's been squandered on the season to remain dry on the DP World Tour. It's kind of impressive when my DP World Tour ROI is better than my PGA, which is how we all know how crazy the DP is and how hard it is to hit a win over there. But yeah, my ROI is positive over there, and it is negative on the PGA Tour by a good margin. But we keep going on. A winner's coming. We're knocking on the door, and hopefully it's this week. But before we do hop into things, Jake, where people find on social media?
Yep, you can find me at DJ Friedman on Twitter. I post some good stuff throughout the week, including my article and outright betting card and matchups throughout the tournament that I do. Also, feel free to join our Discord, completely free to join. Over 175 members in there now, coming up on 200. So, big community there. I had some people rocking with me at 4 a.m. Eastern time with Jesper Svensson, so I was glad to have a little bit of support there. But we're rocking at all hours of the day and night, Monday, every single day, really. It goes between DFS and outright cards. So great community built there. Highly suggest you join if you're interested. You could be as into it or as little into it as you want to be, but definitely a great resource. I don't know about you, Nate, but I rely on that, group chat just to get some extra insight into what some other people are thinking and maybe making some tweaks to my model throughout the week to see what kind of edge I can get based on some information put out there.
Yeah, there's definitely been some times where I've adjusted my card or my DFS lineup because of some further information I didn't know about that someone within the Discord presented to me. I mean, nearly 200 people in there. Someone's going to have some information that I don't have at my fingertips, and we have some very informative individuals in that Discord. People from just random betters to people who do the same stuff we do to professional betters. Like we have all walks of life in there. So it's a great place to be for not only betting advice, but like you said, just to chat some golf, 4 a.m. on the East Coast, and you're chatting some DP World Tours as you sweat out a Svensson card. So it's just a great place to be. And, it's a bit for everyone. It could be as involved as you said, or as little involved as you want. You can either just hang around and remain in the shadows and soak in the information, or you can be chat happy and just speak your mind freely in there. And that's what it's there for. So be sure to give that a check as well. Be sure to follow myself, Nate, on Twitter at WKFNate. Be sure to follow We Know Fantasy on all forms of social media at We Know Fantasy. Visit WeKnowFans.com for some more fantasy sports content, for fantasy baseball, basketball, football, NASCAR, golf, everything in between. We have you covered. My full in-depth PGA Tour and DP World Tour each and every week, as well as LPGA majors out of the rough articles we found on there, where I really go into depth about my DFS plays, betting card, course breakdown, event preview, fields, all that we found there. We'll have some fantasy baseball content coming up here that starts here in a few days. Got the Phillies hat on. I got the Bryce Harper stare down shirt on. I'm excited for this season. Hopefully it's a good one for my Phillies. Because you know 49ers lost in the Super Bowl. It's the DF or the betting cards isn't going my way. So hopefully the Phillies can give me some hope here early on the season at least. But also on the We Know
The tides
Fantasy
will turn.
yes, hopefully. The We Know Fantasy Podcast Network, the We Know Fantasy NASCAR podcast, Cody and his wife Devin, fantastic work they do there. They're up a large amount of units on the season. If you if you're tailing my PGA tour cards and you just recoup a few units, go follow them, get some more units back in your pocket before you head over and check out my PGA cards, I guess, at this point. But no, great work they do there each and every week, just breaking down the track, the field, all of that, and giving some very, very informative information. I don't think I've mentioned this, but we're also on YouTube. If you're listening to this on the Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you listen to a media outlet, we are on YouTube as well. You can go in there, see our face. And if you prefer to watch it in video format, we have that available as well. But all right, on to the Texas Children's Houston Open this week on the PGA Tour. Formerly part of the PGA Tour's Fall Swing. Last time we saw this was in 2022 on the Fall Swing. It's approximately 18 months ago. Of course, Tony Finau took that one down. And not only is it in a new part of the schedule, another new title sponsor. Last year was a one-year stop by, or 2 years ago, I guess at this point, Cadence Bake stopped in for a season. We've seen, the event not have a sponsor before. We've seen Hewitt Packard Enterprise, Vivient, and then before that, for the longest time, was the Shell Houston Open, dating to 2017, I believe was the year it stopped that. But same course, the Memorial Park Golf Course, actually a public course in the outskirts of Houston, a fantastic course. Before we do hop into course facts and information, let's go over the field this week. Of course, none other than Scotty Scheffler's here to kind of crash our party, right? We were hoping, we only saw Scotty on, say, a signature event or a major. No, he's here on, I guess, is a quote unquote home game for him. He's from Texas, and this is about as local as it's going to get for him on the PGA Tour. So I guess he's making an appearance in that nature. And of course, 2 weeks before the Masters, it's not too crazy, but I thought he would withdraw by now with what we saw, at the Players with the neck back injury. I figured he would just withdraw and, get prepared for the Masters in 2 weeks' time. But at this point of recording this podcast, there's no news over the withdrawal yet. I mean, he opened at 3-1. Last time I checked, he was down to 2.6-1. Like,
Yep.
Absolutely
So
insane
stupid.
numbers. Like, don't even touch those numbers, because if you are betting him, you're getting nothing in return, essentially. But yeah, he's back, of course, on the back of back-to-back, Arnold Palmer Invitational, the Players Champion. Joining him is the runner-up to him in both those events, Wyndham Clark, looking to avenge those 2 losses to Scotty Scheffler and go to the finish line with Scotty in a field. Some other notable names within the top 30 of the OWGR. We have Sahith Theegala, Tony Finau, Jason Day, and Will Zalatoris. I mentioned it, Finau defending champion in 2022. He won by 4 strokes, absolutely dominated that event. And then other former winners of this event in this week's field include Lanto Griffin in 2019 and JP Holmes in 2015. On the course facts here, the Memorial Park Golf Course, I mentioned it, a public course that sees about 30,000 rounds of amateur golf per year. It is a course that was overhauled in 2019 by Tom Doak with the consultation of Brooks Koepka. Brooks Koepka himself laid a hand in the reconstruction of this course. The influence of Koepka made this course play to that of a major. We know what Brooks is. Brooks is Major Brooks, right? That's what he does. So this course does play to the favor of that. Emulates major conditions with a combination of length and difficult greenside runoffs. I read somewhere that they added more length to this year's event, so it's even longer. This course was once in disrepair and was on the verge of losing its spot on the PGA Tour before the 2019 renovation. Par 70 at 7,412 yards, roughly. Of course, they added a few yards, so we're not sure the exact number at this point. It will test every aspect of each golfer's game. This is a challenging course. Plays very untraditionally with 4 or 5 par 3s and just 3 par 5s. Although there is a decrease in the number of par 5s, these par 5s still are crucial for any eventual winner. The par 3s they all play long, very difficult, just as everything on this course is. It's just long. The only real chance of consistent birdies on this course, the par 5s, and again, they are no walk in the park as well. Half of the 10 par 4s featured this week play over 490 yards. Only 5 holes on this golf course feature a scoring average under par. The 5 490 plus yard par 4s and the 237 par 3 are the most difficult holes in the course. if we look back at 2021 and 2022, playing at the event, this course featured the shortest par three, par four, and par five on this course, each played over the scoring average over par as well. So even if some of these holes on paper appear to be short and easy, they are not. There isn't much in terms of, say, bunkers, water hazards, or out of play areas, but there is a thick rough in play. Mentioned it there with the Brooks Koepka influence with the major esque style golf. Makes lies that can derail any hole. We talked about the runoff areas designed by Brooks. Again, major esque green side runoffs, and then due to this, these greens are really hard to hold. Got to really hit them the exact spot for them to your ball to stay up. Greens regulation will be crucial due to this. Again, recent run of form will be kind of difficult to gauge because this is kind of a course that is unlike what we see on the PGA Tour. Maybe the Valspar Championship last week is a bit of an indication, but even then, that's a kind of a reach. We're just kind of grasping at straws to try to find some kind of comparison. But very unique course, very new, unique layout. The weather, all the conditions are unique in any aspect of this. So it's going to be a fun one, in my opinion. Hopefully, we don't see a Scotty Scheffler runaway or a Wyndham Clark runaway. Hopefully, we get some competitive golf come Sunday to hold us over until the Masters in just 2 weeks' time. But anything else about the course here that I forgot to mention, Jake, before we move on?
No, I think you covered it well. The golfer that I really, circled was long off the tee and good around the green, like similar to like you said, it's going to be a really tough course. And, it's your fair weather golf fan, like this might not be the most exciting field or course, like might not be totally drawn in, but for those who are into golf, like super unique course, very unique field where it's like kind of top heavy, and then you have like a bunch of like weird mix of people that are like decent but not good, and then your long shots obviously, like this is going to be one of the like I'm this is one of the top fields I think I'm excited for so far. Obviously, take the majors and the players out, like this is going to be a total crapshoot this week, and I'm excited to see how it breaks out.
Yeah, it makes DFS lineup so unique, in my opinion, this week because you mentioned that you
Yep.
have, just six guys in the top 6 or 30 of the OWGR. That kind of a big fall off from there to what we get. So some unique builds this week. We're going to see for sure the DFS side of things, and that's what we're going to hop into right now. We have what is it now? Six monetary categories. We have the $10,000 plus, the 9,000, the eights, the sevens, the sixes, and the 5,900 and below for those looking for some either deeper value than what we can offer the 6,900 and below price range. But easy enough, kick off here the $10,000 price range. I'm assuming I know where you're going with this one, Jake.
I think I might surprise you. I mean, look, Scotty Scheffler is a bit of a free square, so I'm just going to pass over him, and I'm going to go to Will Zalatoris, my favorite play of the week, top my model. Not surprised. I was so happy when I ran my model and he was 1A. I completely
Of course, Scotty's there.
disregarded
Yep.
Scotty
Yep.
Scheffler this week. You
Same.
can't. It's one of those that I looked at how much I'd have to risk to win the amount that I usually do. I'd have to risk over 6 units just on Scotty Scheffler. That's ridiculous. I'm never doing that. Does he have a 33% chance to win this tournament? 10,100. When I think of long, challenging golf courses, I think that Will Zalatoris he models really well for those courses, right? He's long off the tee comparatively. He's great with the irons. And it just comes down to the putter and the around the green play for Will, right? He's never going to win these birdie fests that are, 20 under because the putter just isn't there enough for him. But what I did like that I saw, if you take out his player, he had a terrible players championship. We don't need to rehash that. He missed the cut. He lost everywhere pretty much except for on approach. But the three starts before that at the API, the Genesis, and at the Farmers, he gains with the putter, he gains on approach, he gained off the tee, and he's been long off the tee. So long and accurate to add. So putting that all together with the recent form of taking out the miscut, a T13, a T2, and a T4 in the three starts before that, first click of the day, 20 to 1 in the outright market, also going to be hammering him in my DFS lineups. I love him.
No doubt about that. I mean, and then again, when it comes to ownership, people are going to see what he did recently at the players and kind of steer away from him, especially with Sahith Thagala right above him at 10-3. That's why I thought you're going to go with this one. But the ownership's going to be insane with him, especially people seeing
Yep.
13K on Scotty Scheffler, the most I think I've ever seen on a DFS on any player,
Yep.
by far. And so I think people are going to steer away from that because at 13K, you can't build a lineup around that that's consistent enough to compete. So steer away from Scotty. And then I think Zahid Gal is going to be the most owned golfer on this entire DFS this week. And I'm going to go with Wyndham Clark myself. Second most expensive golfer, 10-9. We know what he's done, right? Runner up at the Players, runner up at the Arnold Palmer Invitational, win at the AT&T Pebble Beach Pro-Am, broke the course record there on Saturday or Friday, whenever that was. He's been insane this season. If it wasn't for Scotty Scheffler, he'd be a three-time champion on the
Yep.
season, winning the Players, winning two signature events. So Scotty Scheffler really threw a wrench into what we would be talking about when it came to Wyndham Clark at this point. We know people don't like him. Maybe they'll help the ownership just because they don't want to have a guy that they don't want to root for in their lives. But just on a
Yep.
pure golf standpoint, what he's doing this season is a bit insane. I mean, even stats wise, fourth on tour in par fives. He's 11th in grading regulations, 13th in bogey avoidance, 17th in approach and average driving distance, 30th in ball striking, 32nd in putting. So again, long off the tee, very good in the approach, really good putter. I mean, what else do you want from Wyndham Clark in some insane
Right.
form? Arguably playing the second best golf on the tour this season. Getting kind of a discount, in my opinion, at 10-9. You know, realistically, he should be 11-3, 11-4, somewhere around there. For Scotty wasn't at 13. So I like the price we're getting, and I'm hoping the ownership stays in check because simply at this point, people don't like him.
Yeah, no, I can't fault you for that. He's playing some of the best golf that we've seen. We talked about it last week. I absolutely despise him, and that's pretty much why I'm not playing him in my DFS lineups. And I feel like some other people might feel the same way, but incredible tee to green play, like pretty much second to Scotty Scheffler as of recent. He's been playing absolutely incredible, good with the putter. T16 here last year. I can't fault you for going with him in the 10K range here.
There we go. Moving on to the 9K price range. I'll kick it off here. And I'm going to go with a bit more of a boring play in Alex Noren at 9-4. I mean, stats wise, he's going to match up what we're looking for. And no, excuse me, he's not long in any measures, right? That's the only knock to
Right.
him. He is very good in the approach, green regulations, good putter, everything you want except distance. Alex Noren's not going to offer distance. What he does offer, though, is accuracy. And this is a course that you need to be accurate as well.
Yep.
Just pure distance is in the end all this week. So if you're a really strong, accurate player who then can dial in with the long irons, I mean, I believe he's also not that good with the long irons. He's an older player on tour. He's known for the accuracy and the strong iron play. He's going to have, everything's really going to be like just a quote unquote old man golf, right? When you play
Yep.
with your grandfather at the local course, he's gonna, bump and run, and that's about it, right? But that's what Alex Noren presents, but he does it at elite level with the iron play like that. So if we can get over the fact that he's not going to be long in any measures, and maybe he can get a few of those long irons to fall in his favor and get some proximities to go in his way, I think there is a strong chance for someone like Alex Noren to take an event like this down. I know it's going to be hard with some long bombers off the tee, these younger guys competing with, but at 9-4, you're getting a guy who's playing some consistent golf. I mean, nothing jumps off the page at you when you look at his results, but he does have three top 25s in the season, a T19th at the Players, and a T9th at the Cognizant Classic in his last two outings. I mean, there's some great value here for Alex Noren. I do have him on my outright card, maybe about a bit egregious, but 45-1, not the scariest number when you're betting someone like Alex Noren. But I mean, this is an event that maybe these long bombers start missing the fairways. They're getting themselves in these deep rough, and it's taking them a while or a lot of scrambling to get out, and they're just playing a toll on them. Where someone like Alex Noren just finds the center of the fairway each time and comes in with a strong approach play, and takes that home.
Yeah, and like you said, like some of these shorter hitters, they might get a little bit of a discount in ownership because of that. But pretty consistently on these courses that we see that you require distance, there's always a few straggler players that are not long off the tee that plot around, and you're like, holy crap, like how they end up top 5, top 10 in a tournament that requires hitting the ball far. And needless to say, like Alex Noren isn't Brendan Todd. He's not like
No,
hitting it, 220 yards, 250 yards off the tee. Like he's not extremely short off the tee. He's just shorter than average. So I like the shout on Alex Noren there. I think you might get a bit of a discount ownership, even though he has gained some traction in the
Yeah, I've
outright
seen a lot of
market.
them on Twitter so far.
Yeah, I was surprised to see that, but his short game has spoken to that. I'm gonna take. I like both my plays here. I'm gonna go with Jason Day here at 9,500. Um, Not the best outings as of recent, a T36 at the API, a T35 at the Players, but before that, a ninth at the Genesis, a T6 at the AT&T Pebble Beach. He's had some good course history here at a T16 last year, a T7 in 2021. So he does know how to plot his way around the course. Jason Day's just a seasoned vet, right? He's a little bit longer off the tee than average. He's relatively accurately, accurate speaking. Sometimes he can get a little bit wild, but generally speaking, he finds himself in the fairway. A little bit above average on approach, but great around the green player, great putter. And that's what I'm looking for is he's the jack of all trades, very well rounded, slightly above average in driving distance. He hits those irons very high, which is, like you said, holding the green is going to be difficult here. So when you hit your irons up high, it's more likely that you're going to hold the green. The recent form isn't necessarily there, but the season form I would argue is there, and the course history is there. That at 9,500, I think Jason Day's a play.
Yeah, this is one of those courses that just kind of screams Australian golf, right?
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying? The ideal Australian golfer is just a bomber off the tee, has a very, very good around the green game, and then can putt lights out. That's basically what it is, right? Anything in between, don't worry about it. But this just seems like one of those courses. I mean, maybe the approach numbers aren't ideally there, but Jason Day has been there. He's done that. A former world number one. He's won at the highest levels. So yeah, I mean, when you're looking for a course like this, it's going to take a bit of a mental game as well with this major-esque caliber course that we're going to see this week. Of course, not extremely major-esque, but you're going to play to that tune with what can frustrate you, the runoffs. You think you have a perfect shot, it runs off on you, and things like that. So I'm never going to doubt anyone for playing Jason Day. Absolutely love the guy. Love to see him win last season and love to see him do it again. All right, on to the 8K here. This is a price range again. I'm normally not on, but I love a lot of guys in this price range this week. So, Jake, who's your play here?
I'm the complete opposite of you. I hate this range.
Really?
I almost skipped it completely in my article. I was just gonna
That's me with
write
the
like I
sevens this
can't even
week.
find someone. But if I had to pick, it would be Doug Gim at 8,200. I think he burned so many people last week that
Yeah,
you might get a
perfect bounce back
discounted
play.
ownership. Right. Like it's one of those that, oh, everyone was on Doug Gim last week. He screwed for me. I'm not going to play him. And then, oh my God, Doug Gim wins this week. Like, oh, why didn't I play him again? But, he played this tournament once in 2020, he missed the cut, but throwing last week out, he did make the cut, which is fine for DFS. It was, a crappy finish for him. But you can't throw out his season performance before that, a T13, T12, T8, T16, T16, littering top 20s consecutively is impressive to do. Not the longest off the tee, but he is accurate. He's good on approach. And it comes down to the short game, which the putter's been good this season, minus last week, and the around the green has been good, minus last week. So why not turn back to Doug Gim here on a week that a lot of people might just be like, forget about him.
Yeah, we see this time and time again. Someone that is like Doug Gim was like the darling of everyone's betting card in DFS play last week. Like I've
Yeah.
been on Doug Gim this entire season, and I was on him again last week, and of course it didn't work out. But he was like the public favorite essentially with the value and everything
Yeah.
he offered. And then that's what happens. We all of a sudden everyone piles on a guy, kind of craps the bed. They move off just like that. They forget all about it, and then the next week they come out and they shoot lights out. And we've seen it so many times, time and time again. Perfect example here. If Doug Ginn comes out here and starts firing away, I mean, he has the ability to do that. Like, extreme talented in the iron game. He's proven that he's been made strides with both around the green. The putting, his putting's been very good this season, especially on Bermuda greens. So we'll see what he can do this week. Both my plays this week, the ownership's going to be insane, is what it comes down to with Jake Knapp and Kurt Kitayama, both 8,000, 8,100. I mean, very similar games here. Jake Knapp, I do favor a little bit my model at 8K exactly. Of course, victor on the season of Mexico, T3rd of the Farmers Insurance Open, T4th of the Cognizant Classic. Comes in this week making the cut in each of his last 5 events. Currently 20th on tour in driving distance, 21st in approach, 47th in proximity for 200 plus, 53rd in scrambling, 50th in ball striking, 64th around the green. I mean, even the putters there, 85th in strokes gained putting, slightly above average. So everything I want in a golfer checks the box. I'm afraid the ownership is going to be a problem here. Same with Kurt Kitayama. And I thought I was when my model popped these two, they were kind of close, and I saw Jake Knapp, and I was like, oh, he won once this season. He's going to be owned because of that. Good form. I'm going to opt off of him to Kurt Kitayama. Write my article. I get on Twitter. Everyone's on Kurt Kitayama. Everyone in the
Yep.
world's on Kurt Kitayama all of a sudden. And I'm like, where's this come from? Like, I don't know if people just love to find someone in the 60 to 1 range and this price range, 8K, and kind of fall in love with them because that's what seems to happen. Because, I mean, the form isn't really there for Kurt Kitayama. It's been consistent, top 25s, top 30s, but nothing crazy to shout, this is Kurt Kitayama's week. Stat wise, he does measure up if you take a big deep dive into it. But beyond that, it kind of a head scratcher, in my opinion. Again, I favor Jake Knapp. I just opted off of him because he has a victory on the season. And someone like Jake Knapp, no shame against him, but winning twice on the PGA Tour in the same season for someone like Jake Knapp is kind of, unheard of. So that's why I opted off him for Kurt Kitayama. And then next thing I know, they're both pretty much public favorites.
Yeah, honestly, this course screams Jake Knapp to me, right? Like I wasn't on him because of the ownership, like you said, but it screams Jake Knapp. Driver in hand every hole, good on approach, and making putts. Like that, this guy's not great around the green, but like, it just screams Jake Knapp. I don't know why. I can't really pinpoint it, but it feels like a course that he should be able to thrive at. And Kitayama, I think the reason people like him is because when he's doing something well, he spikes over a stroke per
Yes.
round with this, over 2 strokes per round with that. And when you're looking in DFS, you're looking for those spike performances, which, that kind of leads me into my 7K range guy. But, you want in DFS these guys to spike for you or just plummet. Like it's one of those that high risk, high reward guys are what you're looking for. And sorry to cut you off here, but I'm just going to jump into my 7K range guy because it's perfect. I think Akshay Bhatia is one of those guys that is just hit or miss. On Thursday by the 3rd hole, what kind of Akshay you're getting? You're getting either the miscut Akshay or the top 20 Akshay. And what I saw at the Valspar last week was super promising. Gained distance on the field, gained accuracy on the field off the tee, which is super important because when I saw the course breakdown of this, the first person that popped into my mind that I thought would be incredible is Aberg because he is long and accurate off the tee, good with the irons, and the putter might not always be there for him, but generally speaking is good. Bhatia has been long and accurate off the tee. He's gained on approach in his last 3. And the putter has been so hit or so missed this season. He's gained over a stroke per round in 2 starts this year. He's also lost over a stroke per round in 2 starts per year. But at the Valspar, he gained just under a stroke per round with the putter. If he can keep that going and we can get the good Akshay Bhatia, I think he's going to pay dividends.
Yeah, that's a perfect shout out you mentioned there because, the accuracy is never really a thing for Akshay, right? That's what gets him in trouble. The out of bounds, the double, the triple bogeys he randomly gets, he's almost going to chalk up for one of them, right? It's kind of inevitable. It's just how he can bounce back, and scrambling isn't part of his game at this point, right? It's if things are going well, they're going well, but if they're going bad, there's no sense of being able to recover. And at this point, I mean, he's still 20, 21 years old, somewhere around there.
22,
yeah, whatever it is. I mean, I remember he came on the tour at like 18, but that's the problem with his game is he just doesn't, I guess, maybe the mental fortitude or something like that to, scramble properly to get back into things. But man, like you said, 3rd hole, we know what you're going to get. You're either going to be excited about this or you're going to be really disappointed really quickly with Akshay. But love that shout. Perfect golf course for Akshay. And I'm going to go with a bit of a kind of an opposite. I'm gonna go Taylor Moore. Taylor Moore is what we know as a putting specialist, right? He's going to have a pretty much a lights out putting week every single week. He's a top 10 putter on the tour. He's 12th on tour in strokes gained putting Bermuda. He's 20th in grid regulations, and he's 29th approximately the hole from 200 plus, 40th at approach, 54th around the green. What I do like about him, he's 76th in average driving distance. So a lot of time we see these putting specialists, the Maverick McNeelys of the world, those type of guys, that's basically it, right? They're going to have insane putting every single week, and that's really what carries them and what keeps them on the tour. Everything else is kind of, floundering. Someone like Taylor Moore, what he's doing this season is putting together a complete golf game to go on top of elite putting. This is, every time we talk about all of our, betting card suggestions or DFS suggestions, what do we talk about? Need to catch a hot flat stick, right? They need to spike with a putter. It's never, oh, this guy, needs to find a hot driver or, needs to find a hot iron. It's always the putter because, the world's best, it's always the tee to green guys and not the putters. And That's what Taylor Moore though is doing thus far this season, is combining a bit of elite putting with some competent tee to green game. I'm loving what he's coming with this week at 7,600. Fresh off a missed cut last week though. No, excuse me, he hasn't missed his cut all season, and he's
Yeah.
fresh off a T12th at the Valspar Championship. He's 7,600 in DFS, good value. I got 100 to 1 on the betting card. Absolutely love the value Taylor Moore brings this week. We'll see if the putting's going to be, the difference maker this week. I know it's a Bermuda green, so putting usually isn't the biggest difference maker here. But again, if you come out here and gain what we saw last week, who was it that gained 10 strokes in the green last week? Blanking me right now. But anyways, uh, anyways, if you're getting 10 strokes on any aspect of the game, you're gonna have a top 25 finish, is what I'm getting at.
Yeah, for sure. And I think Taylor Moore is going to be a little bit more popular just because that T12 finished last week, but he did miss the cut in his two appearances here. And the driving accuracy might not always be there for him, but what he is doing is incredible. He's gaining, over a stroke per round in a lot of the categories, like approach and, off the tee and total and that kind of stuff. So, impressive stuff from Taylor Moore, but I'm sorry, I can't leave this range without saying my other guy, Luke List here. I've been on him all season. I took a break last week. Or I took a break at the Players and he missed the cut.
Yep.
So I feel like I've been timing him up kind of well. But when you think of, like I said with Jake Knapp, driving distance, approach, Luke List with the putter is a completely different story, but this feels like a Luke List course that he can kind of manage with his long distance off the tee and his great approach play. The putter's been, again, hit or miss, similar to Akshay, gaining a lot or losing a lot. So if he catches that hot flat stick, like you said, I would not be surprised to see Luke List win this week at all.
There we go. So let's roll into the $6,000 price range. That's weird for me to say because we've been doing this for almost a year at 1,600 and below. The 6K price range, and I'm going to go with probably another popular play here, right? Andrew Novak at 6,900. Dude, if we throw out the miscut at the Players, he has 4 straight events where his worst finish was T17th at last week's Valspar Championship. Prior to that, he had a run of events T8th at both the WM Phoenix Open and Mexico Open, and then T9th at the Cognizant Classic. 9th on tour and proximity the hole from 200 plus yards, so very good with those long irons. 11th in approach, 14th around the green, 18th in green regulations. Good scrambling numbers, good on the par fives, par threes. He's plus a little bit on the driving distance, and his putting's a little less than desired, but he also gained 1.106 strokes putting last week at the Valspar, so a bit of a spike week as well. We can see that again this week. So great value, in my opinion. I just want to make a mention again of my next guy here at Max, Gracerman. Absolutely love his value of 6,300. A guy that ownership's not going to be there. I think Andrew Novak's going to draw a decent number for the 6K price range, but Gracerman, kind of a similar situation here. He's made 3 consecutive cuts coming this week, highlighted by a T15th in Puerto Rico, currently 26 on tour and approach, 36 in par 5, 39th on average driving distance. He's also 47th in ball striking with those long irons as well. 53rd putting, like he's checking a lot of boxes here. 6,300. So yeah, another guy I just wanted to toss out there. Again, if you're kind of scared of Novak's ownership.
Yeah, I like that shout out. He has a similar build to Luke List from what I'm seeing. So, I like that call out because I love Luke List. But going to my 6K range, I'm hoping that I can get a bit of a discounted ownership on this guy. It's Robert McIntyre at 6,800. It's kind of been
Love it.
crappy. Yeah, he has not been good on
This
the
is his
PGA
course.
Tour to start, right? But he profiles exactly how I want him to. Long off the tee, good on approach, great around the green, and a solid putter. So, I'm kind of hoping he can feel back to his roots a little bit. He made the cut last week with a T33, which maybe he's finally finding some ground under him a little bit on the PGA Tour, but he's gained distance off the tee and accuracy to the fields on the PGA Tour pretty consistently to start this year. He has a T6 in Mexico. Not that that has like an immediate
Yeah.
correlation, but it shows that he can finish high on a PGA Tour event. This is a bit of a lesser field, similar to that Mexico field, I would say, minus Scotty Scheffler. So I just hope I get a bit of a discounted ownership because I think he plays out pretty well here.
Yeah, when I was going through my stuff, I really wanted him to fit in my model just because I wanted to play him.
Yeah.
Just the exact course you want. He's long off the tee, good with the irons, and can get a spike putter. And it's not that long ago he almost took down Rory McIlroy at the Scottish or the Genesis Scottish Open,
Yeah.
like T second there. In one of his first PGA Tour events. Like you said, the form there isn't necessarily, geez, there, but and he has all the tools that you want on this golf course. And this is what we're doing down here in this price range, is finding a guy that has the tools who hasn't put together right. Robert McIntyre fits that mold to a T.
Yeah, and he plays difficult courses really well, like including majors. In 2019 at the Open, he finished T6. In 2021 at the Masters, he finished T12. 2021 at the Open at T8. 2022 Masters at T23. So he plays big events, challenging courses really well. And I think that, like you said, this is almost built like a major-esque, course without the major-esque field. So what better time to break through than now?
Yeah, and on top of that, the unpredictable Texas swirling winds. This is a guy from Scotland who's
Yeah.
grew up playing in winning conditions, so may play in his favor this week.
God damn it. I'm
Um,
adding him to my outright card now.
I might as well. All right, on to the new 5,900 and below price range. We flirted with the idea of adding this price range last week, and I just did it in my article and pretty much texted you and said, "Hey, I'm doing this." You said, "Awesome, me too." So, I'll kick it off here. I guess I'll go Rafael Campos at 5,200. I'm going clear to the bottom. Of course, everyone in this price range is going to have some red flags, right? You're not going to find someone that fits every bit of every part of your model and stat wise. But what Campos does, he's sixth on tour in ball striking. He's 10th in par threes, 13th in regulations, 29th in approach, 34th driving distance, 54th in 200 plus yard approach shots. So he checks a lot of boxes. I mean, around the green number isn't there. The putting numbers really aren't there, but he's made 3 of 4 cuts on the season, highlighted by a T18th in Puerto Rico and T20th in Farmers Insurance Open. Again, in this price range, definitely looking for a made cut. That's all we want out of these guys. These are the guys that you're just hoping to make a cut, get you those extra birdie points towards the end so you can fit yourself in, the more expensive golfers. But I like Campos this week. I was on him in Puerto Rico, and he was pretty good up to the final round on his Nations Open, and kind of laid an egg in his final round there. But man, some
Yeah.
good approach numbers and plus distance. What else could you ask for?
Yeah, I love that shout. And just to add fuel to your fire, in 3 appearances at this event, he's made the cut in all 3 with the 7th place in 2017. So he's spiked here before. I mean, he's played well. So I really like that call out. I'm going $100 higher than you, and I'm going with Matt Messner at oh, sorry, I'm going a little higher. 5,500 he's at. Not a name you hear often, not a name that I've heard too often, but made the cut in his last 3 events, all on the PGA Tour, Cognizant, Puerto Rico, and at the Valspar last week. He gained across the board at the Valspar, so that was pleasant to see. Long off the tee, good on approach. The around the green and the putter and the accuracy off the tee, those 3 factors, not necessarily his strong suit, but like I said, gained across the board last week, so why not take a flyer on him? T26 last week, a T23 at the Puerto Rico Open, so not like we're talking bottom end make cut and T67s. He's making top 25 finishes around, so I'm taking a flyer at 5,500 on him.
Man, 5,500, you get a guy in the top 25. You're setting yourself up wonderfully for the rest of you guys to make the thing. But this is what happens. You're gonna get a guy 5,200, 5,500 to make the cut, and then you say you have like Wyndham Clark in your lineup, and he misses the cut.
Yeah.
Like that happens to me. You have like
Yep.
a 5 or 6 with your most expensive guy missing the cut, and you're just like, what is going on here?
That was me last week. I stacked JT and Sam Burns, and Burns missed the cut, and
Oh yes.
JT laid an egg. So I was like, what the hell's going on?
But all right, guys, that's it for our DFS plays this week. We'll move on to our betting card real quick. We have 3 categories here. We have our, overall favorite. We can place one bet this week. Who would it be and why? We have a personal favorite, maybe someone we're on the pennies out on, maybe some great value, mid-tier type of value there. Then, of course, our long shot, self-explanatory. So, Jake, one bet this week to place. Who we placing that money on and why?
Yep, I think I hammered it home in when I talked about the 10K section, but it's going to be Will Zalatoris for me. I really think he gets it done this week if Scotty Scheffler's putter goes cold.
Yeah, that's all you need, right? And I'm going Wyndham Clark for the same reason. I mean, it's a short 14-1, but man, with Scotty in this field, again, I mentioned with the 10K where I believe Wyndham Clark should be in the 11s when it comes to DFS pricing. If Scotty was in this field, we're looking at a 9-1, a 10-1 for Wyndham Clark in the form he's in. So 14-1, I'll gladly take that. All right, on to our personal favorite bet this week. Jake, who we playing there and why?
Yeah, it's going to be Luke List. I'm going back to the well here at 80-1. just can't get away from him. I think that's a huge number for a guy who has very legitimate win equity and has won multiple times on the PGA Tour.
Yeah, I think Kurt Kitayama, again, if I want to bounce off that because of what I'm seeing with the public betting, if not Taylor Moore at 100 to 1, I really love the value he brings this week. I think this is going to be one of those courses where he can do very well, and I hope the putter really carries him this week. So I guess I'll go Taylor Moore 100 to 1 here. And then, of course, our long shot. Who is the longest odds you're playing this week and why?
Yeah, I was talked into Robert McIntyre. I'm going to put it in right after the show.
Let's see it.
125 to 1 I'm seeing.
125.
I think that's a great number. I think that this is a sneaky play, and we've seen long shots out of nowhere, like Peter Malnati last week come through. Why not Bobby Mack this week?
I might have to join you there. I think you talked me into it as well. And I think it's one of those guys that no one's on, right? So I think this is one of those that can really sneak through and maybe a podcast exclusive. If you guys listen to this, keep it to yourself. Let's all get on Robert Mack and we'll cash those tickets on Sunday. But I'm going with I have Andrew Novak here at 170 to 1. I know I've seen him move
That's a big number.
way up. I think he's under 100 at this point. So
yeah,
170 to 1 was my first click this morning. Absolutely love what he brings to this tournament. So can't be mad with that number. All right, guys. Jake, anything else about the Texas Children's Houston Open before we move on?
You nailed that name throughout it, but no, I think we covered it well and hit everything.
All right, so hop over to the DP World Tour side of things. I'm trying to get this loaded here. As you think at some point, I've been doing this for nearly a year. Every single week, I would have my stuff loaded and ready. But I've also, to my defense, we've switched from when we do the video, I have to have because I record my truck, so I have propped up, and if I touch it, it's going to fall over the place. So I have to use my phone.
Yep.
So just bear with me, guys. I know it makes for great podcasting, but all right, look at that. Just like that, we're there. I can even cut that out there. All right, Hero Indian Open on the DP World Tour this week. The final stop, I mentioned it before the Masters, so we're getting about a 2 to 3 week break on the DP World Tour after this week before we return back to Asia. But outside of a 3-year hiatus due to COVID, this event has been staged since 1964, and up until 2000, it was held exclusively at either the Dali Golf Club or the Royal Kakuta Golf Club. Been part of the DP World Tour since 2015. Since 2017, has been played at the Gary Player Course at the DLF Golf and Country Club. The challenges on the DP World Tour, last week we talked about the Porsche Singapore Classic Play, the Laguna National Golf Resort, known locally as the Beast, is one of the toughest courses on the entire continent of Asia. The challenges continue here as the Gary Player Course is regarded as one of the toughest tests in all of professional golf. So no rest for the wicked, I guess, as they say, especially here in the DP World Tour. But the field this week, many of the tour's best and those PGA and LIV guys that we've come to see in some of these events will be not in attendance this week. What we do get is, again, another field headlined by Rasmus Højgaard, who seemed to headline about 12 fields thus far this season. But he opens as the odds-on favorite to win. Joining him is Yannick Paul, who was the runner-up last season to fellow countryman and German Marcel Siem, who won this event, of course, over Yannick Paul. Siem is not back this week, but Paul is looking to one-up his run-up performance from last year and claim a title on the DP World Tour. Other notable names include Jordan Smith, Richard Mansell, Anirban Lahiri, Ewan Ferguson, Jas Luton, Shabankar Sharma, Stephen Gallagher in 2019, and Lahiri are the two former champions of this event in this week's field. Lahiri won in 2015. The course this week, the Gary Player Golf Course at the DLF Golf and Country Club in India, is regarded as one of the most challenging tracks in the world of professional golf. A par 72 at roughly 7,293 yards. This yardage number I found it difficult to narrow down because we've seen it listed as much as 7,600 on some places. And they did this last year. I think it was listed at 7,600, but it played more to the tune of 7,200. So we really don't know what we're going to see in terms of distance, but we're expecting to be about 72 to 7,300 yards this week. It features very narrow fairways with some undulations. Water is in play on 7 holes this week: 1, 5, 6, 8, 9, 16, and 18. The course is wall to wall Bermuda, including the greens. The greens are also large and undulating. To put in perspective how challenging this course can be, in the first 2 visits here in 2017 and 2018, just 3 golfers managed 72 holes without making at least one double bogey. So that goes to show how challenging this course can be. Eddie Pepperell once suggested the course was designed by Satan himself. He is quoted as saying, literally every shot, something can go wrong. It's quite a walk, and mentally, it will be very draining to stay up there. If you're up there the whole week in contention, the Matt Wallace, the 2018 victor, said every hole is a double bogey waiting to happen. So, and all this is a true test of not only, the physical aspect of golf, but the mental aspect of golf. As you know, you're expected to have a double bogey at some point. You're expected to have a very bad hole.
Yes.
So those who can bounce back, kind of shake off that hole and just kind of move on to the next hole and not let them compile, because one double bogey to the next is where you get, where you get yourself in some real trouble. So those guys who can bounce around, and escape through and only get one of those double bogeys, those are the guys to be standing on the podium at the end of the week. Anything here you want to add, Jake?
No, I think you covered it well. This is going to be an absolute monster. Like, if you get to watch this, there are going to be some implosion holes. And do you think, like, you really trust anyone on the DP World Tour to not like eject after like a triple bogey? Like, personally, like, there's maybe a handful of like seasoned vets that like I think could shake it off, but a lot of these like
Oh my
younger
gosh,
guys or
yes.
inexperienced guys with the leads, they're going to eject. Like, they're just going to go full, oh, 3 under for the round, like, oh, they're doing really well, and then all of a sudden +7 through 2 holes and it's over.
Yeah, we see these on these simple birdie fest holes where some guy has a lead with 2 holes left and shoots like +4 through the last 2 holes or something like that to take himself out of it. So imagine what's going to happen this week. You mentioned it, +7 through the final 2 holes, especially with water in play on 17 and 18. This could be a very interesting watch, and I'm going to like it because just like last week in Singapore, I think the times match up too, where it kind of started about 10 or 11 p.m. on the Eastern Coast, where I could kind of catch some of it before bed. So it was nice to be able to do that. I wasn't stamped at 4 a.m. to watch it with you. But yeah, I think it's going to be a great week of golf there over in India as well. The weather looks to be in our favor this week, some higher temperatures, but of course the humidity, like we saw in Singapore, won't be there. So I wonder if we'll see some more shorts action this week. All right, betting
Yep.
card this week. I think I have 5 guys. How many
Right
you got?
now, I only have 2, but I have a third name I want to circle. So I'll go with 3 names.
All right, well, I'll list off my top guy here with Jordan Smith at 18-1. Top my model this week. Currently 6th on tour in green regulations. He's 7th in bogey avoidance, 9th in tee to green, 19th off the tee, 20th in driving accuracy, 26th in approach, 91st in putting. So, although he does leave a bit to be desired with that putting number, he gained 0.38 strokes on the green per round last week in Singapore and 0.8 at the Janssen Workwear Open in his last 2 outings. He also placed T21st last week in the Forest Singapore Classic, placed T2nd in the Janssen Workwear Open. Some good form, matches up very well. Kind of one of the premier names of this field, kind of Rasmus Hogard, then maybe Yannick Paul in terms of overall, but in the season, Jordan Smith is probably the second best guy this week. 18-1 was a good number in my opinion, so I hopped on him there.
Yeah, I couldn't get there at 18-1, but he is one of the handful of guys that I would trust to not eject
Yes.
after a double bogey. He's very composed, a seasoned vet of the DP World Tour. I completely see the angle you're coming from. He's a very well-rounded player, and I think, he's a great bet. I couldn't get to him at 18, but I do really like the play on him.
There we go. All right, who's your first of your 3 plays then?
Yeah, I'm jumping really deep just because I think it's such a hard course.
Yeah.
I'm definitely stealing one of your picks here. It's going to be Van Driel. So many people got way better numbers than me, and I'm very jealous. But I got him at 80. I saw numbers up to 150, which are just bonkers.
That's where I'm
The
at.
consistent disrespect for Van Driel makes absolutely 0 sense. It doesn't
I don't
make
get it.
any sense. Like,
It,
and you know what? Maybe it's the US book thing versus, a Europe book thing. I don't know what the numbers open up over there, but it's insane. This guy's won for like recently. He had
a month
a
ago.
top 20. What was he? Was he top 21, top 25 last week or something? He had a solid finish on a challenging course in India, and he's still
Yeah,
opening up at
21st.
150-1. It makes no sense. It is completely disrespectful. My model still had value on him at 80 to 1, so I took him. It would have been insane value if I got him at 150. So I love the number that you got him at 150. I love all the numbers above it. I think the 80 is still lingering. I can't even emphasize how disrespectful that is on him. I think everyone should be on him this week.
Of course, he's on my betting card. You mentioned there 150 to 1. And I posted in the Discord earlier today. I'm like, why is this disrespect still continuing on DV? What is it? DVD? I don't
Yeah.
understand. You mentioned it. A win in Magical Kenny Open a month ago. T21st last week at the Porsche. T4th as well, the Alfred Dunhill. T9th at Joburg. Like, he's been doing it all season long. And, he's currently ninth on tour at Tee to Green. Like, Tee to Green's the measure. Like, that's how we understand, overall confidence on the season. He's ninth there, a top 10 guy there. I don't understand it. I'm trying to understand it. When I open a book and I see 150 to 1, no matter what the course is for some guy like DVD, like, look at the names around him,
Yeah.
names I've never even heard of in this field. This field is not deep in the slightest. Like, once you get to about 50, 60 in this field, you're kind of like, a lot of these guys I don't even haven't even heard of. Like, and we're getting down to a guy who won a month ago on the DP World Tour on a long
Right.
course in Kenya. Like, it doesn't make sense to me, and I'm trying to understand it myself. But I'm not going to complain with it when I'm getting a guy of DVD's caliber at 150 to 1.
Yeah,
All
we
right,
take it.
moving on to my second play. Well, DVD's on my cards. My third play, we're gonna go with Bert Weisberger. Kind of a popular guy I've noticed. I thought I was onto something when I ran my model this week. 33 to 1 isn't, I'm not crazy about that number, but I've seen some guys have about 40. But when we talk about the mental aspect of this course and we need a seasoned veteran, that's what Weisberger is. 8-time winner on the DP World Tour. He's been around for a long time. He's been there, done that. So he's one of those guys I do trust as well to not implode after a double bogey or even a triple bogey, something like that. I think he has the mental capacity. Winning 8 times the DP World Tour, like that's unheard. Like, that doesn't happen often, right?
Yeah.
Usually you either move on or something like that. But he's been around for a very long time. He's played. We haven't seen a lot of him this season. He's only played 4 events, but his worst to finish of those 4 events was a T37 the Alkmaar. He comes in this week on the back T16 finishes. Last week T16 the Porsche Singapore Classic. You mentioned it. Hot human conditions on a challenging course. Love to see that as well. 21st in the desert at the Hero Dubai Desert Classic. I mean, what's there not to love about him? He's currently second on tour in green regulations. He's got his chances there. Third tee to green, 10th in scrambling, 11th in bogey avoidance, 14th in approach. So he's getting his chances. I know these numbers may be a little bit skewed. He only played 4 events compared to some of the guys who have played like 12 plus. But again, he's still measuring up with these guys through 4 events. I mean, 4 events is still a decent threshold, especially playing last week in Singapore.
Yeah, I love that play. I'm so jealous you got a 33. He's down to 20. I can't take him at 20.
Jeez.
I think that's just too low of a number. I would have taken him at 25, honestly. And again, you've listed probably 2 of the 5 people that I trust not to eject after getting a double bogey. He's a seasoned vet of the DP World Tour. He did go to live, so he did, we didn't see him much of last year. But, he's played 4 events in a row on the DP World Tour. 4 good finishes, rounding into form. He's crossed the finish line 8 times, which I don't think many people on the DP World Tour in general could say. Definite win equity. 33 to 1, I would have been all over. I can't take him at 20, but I love the shout on him this week.
There we go. All right. Who's your next player, Jake?
Yeah, I'm sticking with this guy. I think I've bet him every single week. It's going to be Ugo Kusod at 90 to 1. I think a lot of people might be pushed off of him. He had a T37 last week, but I did like what I saw from him. Like,
Yes.
it wasn't a terrible round of golf. He had a 76 on Friday and a 73 on Sunday. So those 2 rounds can be thrown out, but he had a 65. I think he was T1 after Thursday. He was on the top of the leaderboard for sure. And then on Saturday, he had a 68. So he pieced together 2 of 4 good rounds on a really challenging golf course. The form before that has been there, T12 at Bahrain, a second at the Qatar Masters, T24 at the STC Championship, and a T23 at the Johnson Workwear. So his season form's been there, and last week left a little bit to be desired, but he did show that he could play well. If he could piece it together for 4 rounds at 90 to 1, I trust him to get it done.
Yeah, I remember. I think it was Friday. I saw a glimpse of the tournament, and I think his name was on the leaderboard at that point. And I just thought of you because that's about my extended knowledge when it comes to him because of your continuous play of him. But no, 90 to 1. I mean, in this field, it's so hard, especially when you have someone that has some consistent results on the season, someone that you can grasp your hands around. This field, again, mentioned it, not that deep. It's hard to be down here 90 to 1 and still find familiar faces. So I love that play as well. I'm going to go back to the guy I've played all season, of Frederick LaCroix at 40 to 1. I love the value at 40 to 1, honestly. Um, he was on one start the season, right? He was doing some crazy stuff. Had a stretch where he was T5 at the South African Open, third at the Ras Al Khaimah, and then T4th at the Bahrain. He's cooled off a bit since, but now's the time to get on him. We talk about this, the bounce back, right? Where everyone gets on someone, they cool off, and then they start they really go for it again. But man, he's seventh on tour in tee to green, 13th in the approach and green regulations. He's 18th in accuracy, 19th in scrambling, 20th off the tee, and 29th in bogey avoidance. So he does some things well. Again, the putter really is a concern here, but he gained 0.28 strokes putting per round at the Bahrain and 0.67 strokes per round at the Ras Al Khaimah. So he has that ability to spike with his putter, 4 rounds at uh, 0.3 or 0.7. That's a big difference maker. So combine his elite at this point, tee to green and approach game with that putter, has a chance in this field this week, in my opinion. 40 to 1 is some good value, in my opinion.
Yeah, it's a big bounce back spot, right? I couldn't get there on him. But that being said, tee to green's been great. It's a big bounce back spot for him. He did show the form at the beginning of the season. If he can round it out, after some crappy weeks in a row, it's all there for him.
There we go. All right, who's your final guy?
Yep. So my final guy, I haven't put a bet in on him yet, but I'm very close to. It's going to be Daniel Van Tonder. He's just been playing some awesome golf. He's 250 to 1. He's kind of been decorated on the tours that he's played, the Challenge Tour, the DP World Tour, and then the Sunshine Tour. But in his last 5 starts, he has a T10, a T27, a T20, a T9, and a T7. So I don't care what tour you're on. He's piecing together top 20 and top 10 finishes at 250 to 1. He made the cut here last year, but nothing to really speak of with a T57 finish. He shot a Sunday 78, which is absolute garbage, but that just means that he should have had a bit of a better finish than T57. And in the form that he's coming in with, in my opinion, it's possibly worth a shot.
Yeah, 251, like I said, the volatility of what this course is going to offer. Again, if you're just hanging in there at the end of the, deep in a Sunday, there is a outside chance that the top of the leaderboard implodes and you just kind of sneak your way through and kind of avoid danger, get yourself there. So why not, take a guy that's in some decent form? So my final play is Daniel Hillener at 60 to 1. Looking at the results, he's not in the best of form. It's not going to jump off the page at you, but if we take a deep dive into what his stats offer, I think there's some great value there. He did finish T. He missed the cut last week in Singapore, excuse me, but placed T23rd at the Ras Al Khaimah. But again, stats are really what I'm looking at here. He's currently 10th on tour in strokes game off the tee. He's 20th in approach, 23rd in green regulations. He's 28th in accuracy, 54th in bogey avoidance, 55th in tee to green. So again, we're in a field here where it's kind of hard to find someone with some value beyond, say, 50 to 60. This is a guy who's won the DP World Tour before. I mean, just one time, but he has a victory. Dating back to his last made cut, the Qatar Masters, he gained 0.91 strokes putting per round. So if he comes in this week with that same putter or ability to get even half a stroke per round, that's a big drop off from that 0.91. But again, he has the ability to spike putt. Coming to this week with a spike putting, again, that could be the difference maker. Is a guy who, scrambles to save par or bogey opposed to, maybe scrambling to a 3 putt of a double or a triple. That could be the difference maker this week. So hoping a strong putter here with from the Australian, and the fact that he's crossed the finish line before can really help me here at a 60 to 1 number.
Yeah, I like his tee to green game. I don't know too much about him and I haven't looked too much into him, but his tee to green numbers look great. And on a challenging course where that's going to be pivotal, I think that's a good shout on him.
All right, so that's it for the Hero Indian Open as well. Jake, anything else about that event you want to talk about before we move forward?
I'm a little disappointed neither of us picked, a hometown hero here. I think we need to try to find one and maybe post in the Discord or on Twitter. But yeah, I've seen a lot of people on Shubhankar Sharma.
Of
He came
course, you're
really
going to be.
close
He's
last
the
week.
He's the
Yeah,
one
and he
name,
rounded
right?
out. Yeah, he rounded out some form last week with a T7. He played really well just down the stretch, didn't have enough to compete, but yeah, he's going to be really popular. But I'm going to try to find a name a little bit deeper down the board, maybe 100 plus to one that, put a little bit, win a lot of it.
Make it a challenge. I'll find one as well. Maybe we'll compete with each other. We'll try to find one each and see who comes out on top. Do a little
Yep,
podcast friendly wager in that aspect. Let's do that.
I
All
love
right,
it.
since we kind of got away from the one and done we were doing for a little bit, it's been a while since we've done that. But we'll do it this year. Maybe we'll do it something like this where we each find a local guy in these fields of these co-sanctioned events that we can kind of hang our hat on. So,
Yeah.
all right, Jake, where we find you on social media?
Yep, you can find me at DJ Freeman on Twitter. Be sure to join our Discord, completely free to join. Great community there, coming up on 200 members, going all hours of the day. If that's not your thing, turn the notifications off, but join and pop in and use your voice. Speak your opinion. There's a lot of people that go back and forth, and it's a really good, constructive conversation. But be sure to join. There's definitely some valuable nuggets in there.
For sure, for sure. Follow myself, Nate, on Twitter at WKF Nate. Be sure to follow We Know Fantasy on all forms of social media. Visit We Know Fantasy Conference for more fantasy sports content. Be sure to visit the Out of the Rough podcast YouTube channel. Subscribe there. Let's get a few more subscribers on that as well. Even if you want to listen to this podcast on a media or on a audio outlet, just hop by there and drop us a follow on YouTube. It means a lot to all of us. So until next time, guys, we'll see you.